about myself. I am a solution architect at AB Number Bank. Okay, I'm working on a couple of blockchain and innovation projects on blockchain. Okay, and today we'll be talking about blockchain and logic apps, how to publish logic apps in smart contract and flow of the data to the SQL database in Azure Blockchain as a Service. This is today's agenda. Before getting into deep dive, first we'll see why do we even care about the blockchain? Okay, do we really need a blockchain for our project? And then later we'll see how blockchain solves this problem, lot of problems, and we'll see what services Microsoft is providing to build blockchain apps. Okay, then there will be a demo for integrate Azure Blockchain as a Service with logic apps, and data will flow to the SQL database. Okay, this is let's take a look how we can decide, do we really need a blockchain for our project? Okay, if you see this diagram, it shows in the flow that if you want to store any state, yes, if you want to store if you have multiple writers and all the writers are trusted parties, so then we don't need a blockchain. Okay, if the writers are not trusted parties, then in that case, yeah, we might need a blockchain for either permission blockchain and public blockchain. So this permission and public blockchain we'll discuss on it. Okay, so basically when you have a multiple party system and the parties are not trusted parties, in that case blockchain can be a good use case. But if the parties are all trusted parties, so it's better to go for the distributed apps rather than going for the blockchain. So what's the problem today the blockchain is solving? If you see in this diagram, in this picture, there are customers A records, merchant A records, bank records, insurers, auditors, regulators, all are doing point-to-point communication. Means there is a lot of data duplicacy, there is a lot of inefficiency of the data.
Sorry,
and
Asif.
Yeah.
Are the slides changing for everyone? Because I can still see the about me slides.
You are not able to see slides?
No, I can still see the about me slides. Can anyone confirm that they can see the slides changing?
Okay.
Arrow, is it on the right?
Yeah, I can see your about me slide only.
1 minute. I think there is some background noise again.
Behind, yeah, I think some kid is want to be interested in our blockchain.
Okay, so is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just again describe. So if you see this, if we are going for deciding any blockchain projects, because when we are going for starting any project, so we have always doubt in mind, do we really need a blockchain for our project? Is it a good use case for like suppose if you have a multiple party system, so blockchain can be good use case or not, or this is always like a lot of doubts comes in our mind. So before going to let's see this flow diagram. So if you see the flow diagram, you can easily understand that if you want to store the state and there are multiple writers, and if all the writers are trusted writers, then we don't need a blockchain. If all the parties are not trusted writers, so then might be a blockchain. What type of blockchain? It is a permission blockchain or public blockchain. It's depend on your use case. Okay, permission blockchain and private blockchain we'll go through and we'll discuss what is a permission and public blockchain soon. Yeah. Okay, so what type of problem blockchain is solving basically? If you see here, we have a customer, merchant, bank records, insurer records, regulators, and auditor. So they are all independent parties. So everyone is maintaining their own systems. So if we talk about like customer is communicating with the merchant is communicating with the bank records, and then bank have their auditors, and then regulator is also contacting with the auditors. So it is only point-to-point communication, and so there are multiple third parties involved in the middle, which is charging a lot of huge amount of fee, and it's taking a lot of time. So it is, in terms of, you can say that it is inefficient process. There is a lot of trust gap in the environment because everyone is maintaining their own system and they don't trust each other. Okay, the third parties fees included, inefficiency of the data to reconcile. So what is the solution for this? Let's assume if everyone comes on the same platform, means like customer, merchant, bank records, auditor, and insurer, regulator, if everyone comes on the same platform and they share their information in secured manner. So that's why the blockchain comes in picture. So we can share the data, we can means see the data, who is doing performing what type of transaction, and it's a secure data. Means it's the transaction is completely secure by hashing algorithm. So that's what the key feature of blockchain. Consensus. Consensus is means all the parties are maintaining same data, that is consistency of the data. Immutability. Once the data is written once, there it is you cannot delete the data, so that is immutable. Provenance. You will know that from where exactly it was originated. Like suppose let's give an example. You want to know that, suppose apple is you went to buy and they have mentioned on the apple that that's organic apple, but how you will know that is a really organic apple? So if it is a blockchain platform, so we'll know that from where exactly it was originated, how many parties in the middle have transferred, means provided the logistic, from where it came, and what is the end, means like how it came into the end. So that's why you can track, if it is a blockchain platform, you can track the history. So you can know the provenance from where it was originated. Finality, once it is written on blockchain. There is no edit option for that. Means it will be always create. So by providing these four features, it's makes ecosystem very strong. So if you talk about the blockchain in nutshell, I will say that it will be based on four concepts. One is shared ledger, security, consensus, and shared contracts. Shared ledger means all the data is shared between the parties in the business network. Security, it is ensuring secure and authenticated and verifiable transactions, means everyone can verify the transaction. Consensus means when any transaction is happen in the network, so it is informed to all the parties, respected parties, and they verify the transaction, okay, and they agree on it. The shared contracts, whatever the business terms are embedded in the transaction database, it is shared between the parties, and their rules will be implemented in that based on their digital contracts. So what it helps to reduce the time, remove the cost, reduce the risk, and enable a business model like IoT and supply chain. So in today's world, there are three types of blockchain available. One is a public blockchain, and private and consortium. Public blockchain, in you can say that Bitcoin was the first application, which production ready application for public blockchain. Now Ethereum is also available. So what it provides is everyone can join the network. Example, cryptocurrency, your health records, your royalty and loyalty points. And private blockchain. Private blockchain is for a particular business unit, like for any financial or means like your own company can have their blockchain platform. Okay, so they own their own responsibilities in by single company. So asset management, governance of subsidiary, compliance. So that can be consortium. Consortium in it's kind of private blockchain, but it will be with the group of multiple parties. So all the different parties will come together and they will form the consortium. Okay, so we'll see, because these are the available basics of blockchain. Okay, but what Microsoft means what are the problems with the blockchain, means you can say what type of challenges are facing. So currently, if you see in the blockchain platform, so we have a pain points like managing their identity and key management, data platform, off-chain storage, SQL or NoSQL, how we are going to monitor the transactions, how we are going to manage the APIs. So these are the pain points with the current blockchain setup. So what Microsoft is doing, Microsoft is creating a own blockchain end-to-end system. So where you can integrate with all type of ledgers with the existing applications. So they are exactly what they are trying to do is they are trying to integrate with your current applications with the blockchain network. So they are trying to provide a whole ecosystem in terms of managing your identity, in terms of managing your data, in terms of monitoring everything at one place. So these are the services provided by Microsoft, like Azure Blockchain as a Service, Data Manager, Blockchain Tokens, and the Blockchain Development Kit. So how it really helps. So current problem is means. Let me show you by just giving a simple example. One minute. Let me share my whole screen. Let Windows. Okay. Are you able to see Aru, like everything?
No,
Okay.
I can. Yeah, I can't. I can see your face. I think I think this is an issue with the network maybe. Your project something now, is it?
I believe you are using second monitor, right? Or
I can see my window, means like I have opened one now.
So, Asif, are you using two monitors? Is it? Oh, okay. That is fine now. I can see your PPT.
Okay. What I'm trying to show is my window. Okay. I will go through the PPT once. Okay. So what exactly I'm trying to show is, suppose you want to create a one normal CRUD application, means create for to-do list. Okay. So for creating the blockchain application, what exactly you need to do is you need to set up the blockchain project. Okay. You need to install. There are a lot of tools like Truffle and couple of tools you need to install. Then you have to configure. Because you cannot directly communicate with the blockchain network. So what you need to do, you need some intermediary or mediator provider like MetaMask. So these all things you need to configure, and it's a really very hectic task. So what Microsoft is providing is they are providing a Azure Blockchain Development Kit. So you don't need to do all these things. You can you can just install the extension in your development code like VS Code, and you can create the project. Okay, by providing the Azure Blockchain as a Service, in few simple clicks, you can mis- completely initialize your all infra part. Okay, and Blockchain Data Manager. So Blockchain Data Manager helps you basically for managing all the events or data. Like suppose you are getting a data from the IoT devices, and it's a huge amount of data. So how you can integrate those data sources with your blockchain application or platform. So the blockchain data manager helps you to capture all the data and display. And Azure blockchain tokens basically is you can tokenize your all the assets in terms of assets and currency. So by using Azure blockchain tokens. So today we'll discuss about mostly on Azure blockchain as a service. So we'll see how Azure blockchain as a service can integrate with your logic apps and can push the data to the SQL database. Okay. So what exactly blockchain service provides? Deploy fully managed blockchain network in few simple clicks, govern scales, build a consortium. So all these things can be done in few simple clicks. Let's see in demo. I'll share my screen. 1 minute. So if you can see, this is my screen for Azure Portal, where exactly the blockchain, you can create a blockchain as a service. You don't need to go for creating your own infra. You can just go and suppose I want to create a resource. Azure Data Manager capabilities are only available in East and North Europe region. Apart from that, other regions it's not available. So if you want to configure, means if you want to capture all the events in the Azure Data Manager, so you need to configure the region based on your. Okay. Currently, it is supporting only Quorum blockchain platform, which is enterprise version of Ethereum. And consortium is nothing but, as I told earlier, you can create a group of companies can come together and can form the consortium. So if you are going to create your consortium, so you are the first admin for this. Members will be basically the nodes. Suppose you are the company, so you will have each company will hold one or two nodes. It will be based on, like, suppose you are going to perform any transaction, so you will have a transaction node. But few other companies who is going to verify your transaction, so they will have a validator or verifying node. And this is very important, like members account password. So you need to remember when you are going, because when we are going to configure the logic apps, so this password will be required. Okay. So this is how basically we will create Azure blockchain as a service, like blockchain completely end-to-end infrastructure. So where we can deploy our own blockchain platform, blockchain solution. So I have already created one. So let's see how we can create a project and can deploy on this blockchain platform. So currently, if you see here, I have already deployed this blockchain service. So they're having one transaction node. So transaction node, basically it will contain all our data. Blockchain data manager. Data manager will be I have not integrated blockchain data manager, because data manager will capture all your events and process to SQL databases, Cosmos DB. It's based on your requirement. But this also can be done with the logic apps. If you have a huge amount of data, then it's good to go with the blockchain data manager. Okay, let's create one project. So are you able to see my VS Code extension, Aro?
Yes. Now I can't see.
Okay. So what exactly we can do? If you see here is I have already installed extension, which is Azure Development Kit here. Azure Blockchain. So if you can see, this is Azure Blockchain Development Kit. So before going to create a project, you don't need to install all the libraries and everything. So you just need to install this extension and you can create your own project. It's quite simple. So what exactly we need to do is I'll just go and create a simple project. So it is created a Hello Blockchain project initially. So if you can see, there is a Hello Blockchain app. So where it have two operations basically. One is for sending the request, send request, and send response. So what we'll do is we'll build the contracts, and this is Azure Blockchain Service because I have already connected. If you have, when you're going to do first time, so you need to basically connect to the network. So once you connect to the network, you will be able to see I have already created a group of companies consortium, and there is a member A. Member A is nothing but a node which I'm going to do. So this is the member A. So you can build the contracts. I have already built it, and now you can deploy on this Azure Blockchain as a Service. So this is, it looks very simple in by using Azure Development Kit, but if you are going to do this same thing in means normal blockchain setup, it's take a lot of efforts. Let me show you. So this is a to-do list I have created initially. So what you need to do, you need to install Ganache, you need to install Node.js, Truffle, MetaMask plugin, and there is a couple of steps you need to do for doing the same process just to create a to-do list. And that's I have done in three parts, like part 1, part 2, and part 3. So in three parts we were able to do that. But if you see, by using Azure Development Kit, we can just create and can deploy the blockchain application on the blockchain platform. So this is how we do. Okay, so it is still deploying. So what exactly will be there after deployment? We'll get the contract address. Okay, and suppose I want, what exactly I want is when we perform any transaction on the blockchain, I want to capture that transaction on logic apps, and then then want to process that transition to the SQL database. This is how I want at the end. So let me
Hey, Asif, can I have a quick question here?
yeah, sure.
So since we have some multiple organization to integrate, right, like a vendor, merchant, bank, right? Who will own this blockchain system?
There will be some parties, like I told you, because it's a kind of private blockchain. Okay, so whoever is creating this network, like suppose I am creating this blockchain means service. Okay, so I will be admin for this. And how exactly Microsoft is doing, because it is based on proof of authority. So whoever parties are involved in this, so they need to be registered with the AD for this. So suppose you want to, when you are creating your blockchain service, okay, like I have created this member. Okay, so if I want to invite some other party, so they need to be registered with our AD, means like Active Directory, either as a guest or on the network. So we can join the consortium.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, am I giving you answer?
Yeah,
yeah.
Fine. Something's a third party or someone has to be managed like that,
Yes,
right?
someone need to manage, obviously.
So the authentication token kind of things, the third party, they have to manage. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. So means whoever is means in going to integrate or means going to interact with your means consortium. So what exactly they need to do? They need to be either as a guest user or on your network. They need to be registered. So that's how they are going to perform the transaction. Because the problem with the public blockchain network was, like, who is performing the transaction and how is everything is going on, it was unknown. So that's why there was a lot of activities, like fraud and everything happened in the, means like hackers are asking coins or money from by using Bitcoin. So because there is only hash address, you never know that who is performing the transaction. That's why like they're running a shadow bank. Okay. So that's why if the private blockchain came into picture, private blockchain basically helps to, you will know that who is involved in the consortium. And
So it's more like a virtual private network kind of things
exactly.
to. Okay.
Yes, not exactly you can say virtual private network. Yeah, you can say in other words a virtual private network. Yeah,
Mm.
between the known parties.
Okay.
So that is a proof of authority, a consensus mechanism, because there is a proof of stake which used to be for public blockchain, means like whoever is going to perform the transaction, so they used to pay the fee on the network in terms of gas fees. But when it came for proof of authority, so it was there is no need to pay the fee. You just need to be registered on the network for performing the transaction. So they can authenticate by using authentication token or whatever the mechanism you are providing to them. Okay. So yeah, any other question?
Because if I have multiple integrations, so I need to register multiple times. Am I right? For example, there is a I am running just a ecosystem or something. I have multiple integrations with multiple companies. So the blockchain will be different for, right? Something it cannot be.
No. Basically, the blockchain consortium will be one. Okay. But they will maintain their own nodes. Like in our case, what exactly it was, like whenever there were a couple of banks and financial organizations were involved in a consortium. So what exactly, there was a one administrator which was managed, the blockchain was managed by one organization. Okay. And they have created the network and all the parties join their network. So all the parties maintain their own node. So basically this transaction nodes are nothing but this will be maintained by one company. So they can perform the transaction in their own node. Okay. And this node will sync to the who is managing with the network. So it will be synced with all parties. So that's how the blockchain is works.
Okay. So
yeah, let me just show you so if you see here, what exactly, suppose if you want to send money A to B. So when you want to send money A to B, so there will be one transaction will be performed on the blockchain, and it will, this is the consortium network. So they will announce that this transaction happened from A to B. So everyone will receive the notification on the node. So that's why the data is consistent on all the node. So everyone will receive and they will verify the transaction, then it will perform, then the transaction will happen from A to B, like that. So in your consortium network, all the companies will maintain their own node or own systems. So they will have the node, they will do all their operations, but whenever they are performing the transaction, so other parties will verify the transaction. That's how that happens.
Okay, so let's say we can say if only within the Microsoft Office account, every vendors or every integrations having done, it's actually blockchain is not really needed, right? So we can do the Active Directory authentication within the Microsoft something, right? So it's
Yes,
even more secure, right?
trusted parties, and you know that everyone is trusted parties. I think you don't need. That's why if you see my first slide, this was like, do you really need a blockchain? So if
okay,
you want to
okay.
state, if you want to store a state, okay, and there are multiple parties, but all are trusted parties. So there is no need of blockchain.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. So if you see, I have already 1 minute. So this is, I have created a blockchain application. I have deployed the blockchain application on Azure Blockchain as a Service, which I have created initially. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to perform some transaction. Okay. And want to capture the transaction by using logic apps. So if you see, this is the contract address, which is very important. Okay. So this contract address will basically recognize all of your actions. So based on this contract address, how you are going to capture all the events and then going to trigger the logic apps. So let's see. So what exactly we want to do is, it's very simple. We'll go and create integration, logic apps. Okay. And by providing, they are also just open. Okay, so what exactly we need to do is so if you see here, there are couple of options provided by because once you install this plugin, so they will provide you option like if you want to generate the data by publishing workflow from the smart contracts. Like I have a smart contracts which is having two functions like send request and send response. So I want to publish the data, whatever the transactions I am performing on that. So we want to publish the data. This is a one logic apps. Second is like by using event, by using microservice, okay, and by doing the generating the apps reports. So what I am going to do is what I'm going to do with the data. So what you just need to provide your address. This is my address, contract address, and I need to provide a subscription. Then this is my resource group for logic app. And if you see here, the logic app is created. So I think some can just maybe or someone can mute. Okay, so basically, what exactly we are going to do is this is a logic app created. We just need to copy this. To
You know?
As if you can
Yeah.
unmute yourself, I mute everyone else.
I already unmuted. Yeah. Thanks, Vio. So what we are going to do is demo logic app. We are going to create one logic app for publishing the data. So logic app name like the SQL blockchain. Okay, make sure whenever we are creating the logic app, so wherever you have deployed your blockchain service, like I have deployed in West Europe region because data manager capabilities are only available in West Europe region. So you need to choose the location same for the logic app as well. Otherwise, it will not work. So I'm going to create one logic app. So I have actually already created one logic app before because it may take time. So let's see. Once it is created, I will show how exactly. Okay, let's create it. Fine. So what you need to do, you need to go in blank logic app, go in code view, and replace the code which was generated in this by logic app in your copy and paste. Save it. Go to the designer. So you will see that the connection is created. Basically, this connection is nothing but your. So if I have an existing connection with the blockchain, let me add new. So what exactly you need to provide is connection name. Connection name, you can provide anything like a demo SQL, Ethereum RPC endpoint. RPC endpoint will be basically whatever the you have created your blockchain as a service. So in blockchain as a service in transaction node, because you are going to perform on this network in a transaction node, you can see in the connection string, you have an access key. So you just need to copy this connection string. And your account address and your password. So whenever you will create a transaction node, demo, So I have this member account because this is for one company. So every company will have their own member account. So you just need to provide the member account and the password. So this will capture all your blockchain events from the, like I have going to perform one send request, send response. This will be captured by this Ethereum blockchain logic app, and it's going to trigger into SQL database. So I'm going to make one new connection, like SQL Server authentication. I need to provide the database name, username, and password. So what exactly I have done is, if you see, I want to, because I have one, even though you can capture this request by HTTP request, like suppose if you have on your existing web application and you are performing any transaction on that web application, because once you deploy this blockchain application, so this will be some HTTP request. So you want to capture that HTTP request by contract function, like for request message, and then we will get the response and will process and insert into database. So what exactly I have done, I have provided the connection string. If you can see the table name state change, and what I'm going to do is yeah.
Did you share your whole screen or just the specific application? Because we still can see, what I can still see is the event state change logic up JSON file.
I have shared my whole screen. This is able to
There
see.
you go. Now we can see it.
Okay. So basically is in the code view, we will copy whatever the logic app we have created. So there will be a JSON file. So we'll copy this file. So then we'll go to the designer and can see this logic app will be created automatically. So we can see here there will be means like connector for the Ethereum blockchain, and there will be connection for the database. So what I have done, I have created the logic app because mostly when you are going to deploy on the deploy the application, so you will have HTTP request, like your API request. Okay, and then you are going to execute the transaction, smart contracts. We are going to get the response, and then we are going to insert into database. So what exactly we are going to insert in transaction hash in that. So let's see. This is my database. Let me connect to my database. So I have already two state of the data, means like I called the this logic app 2 times initially to from by calling this API, and then it include that it's executed this smart contract, and we got the response, and then we inserted into database. So that's how that happened. So are you able to see my Postman view?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, sure.
No,
So
we are looking your Azure portal only, not Postman.
oh, it makes very difficult to complete custom. Now can see?
Yeah.
Okay. So what exactly we are going to do is I'm going to copy this. Okay, and then I have already provided in send request SQL. So I'm going to pass this request message. Okay, like suppose I have passed this to test. So what exactly it will do? It will send the request to this logic app. Will receive the request. Will execute the smart contracts, this send request function, and it will generate one message response and insert into database. So if you can see here, I got this block address, and let me execute my query. So you see here, this is how we capture the events, but this is only like suppose if you want to capture event only 1 or 2 times, okay, means like only one event, then it's good. But if you want to capture the events like multiple events, then you have to enable the data manager capabilities. That's what is so if you see here, I have 4 records. If you see my screen, so there was this is Azure Blockchain Data Manager. So what exactly is Blockchain Data Manager is this is a blockchain data manager. So what we can do, we need to provide the data manager name, what transaction node we are going to monitor. So basically it will monitor your transaction node, and it will capture the event of for that transaction node, it will capture all the events. So suppose if I am passing event of sending response or request, so it will capture all the events, and then it will process to database like Cosmos DB, SQL DB, wherever you want. So let me show the diagram for this, how exactly it works. So this is the diagram. So what exactly it works is, suppose you want to capture the IoT data, logs, media, files, unstructured data. So it will go to the service bus, then we'll create a logic apps. Logic apps will process the data into Azure Blockchain as a Service. So in Azure Blockchain as a Service, we have a transaction node. Basically, this is my transaction node. So we will keep the transaction node, basically we'll configure the transaction node here. So it will monitor this transaction node, and by using the event grid functions, it will process the data wherever we want. So why it is helpful is basically if we read and write all the data from the blockchain, so it will be like, because blockchain, what exactly it do, it verify all your history of the transaction. So if you are keeping, means like reading all your transaction from the blockchain ledger, so it will be very difficult, like means the time will be, it will be perform in terms of performance, it will be very slow. But what exactly, so in terms of performance, it will be very slow. So that's why we capture, what exactly we do, we process all this data into SQL database and Miss Cosmos DB, and from there we can read the transaction. So read operations can be performed from the off-chain database, but all other write operations can be from the ledger. So that's what we do. Same as is, suppose I have already created 2 logic apps for just capturing the state of the transaction, like I want to send request and get the response. So this is my send logic. So what I'm going to get the HTTP request, call the smart contract, and then we are going to get the response. So let's see, I am sending, this is my first second request. So currently, if you see here, this is, I'm getting the request. So I have only, this is a state, this is hi, this is my first request, which I have made earlier. So now I'm going to make the second request on the blockchain by send request function. Why it is taking time? Because it is verifying my history. So that's why I got the response as a blockchain hash. And now I am going to make the request message. So see, this is the state change. This is the second request. So that's how, because I have already created the hello blockchain. So hello blockchain have only 2 functions, like send request and send response. So first we are sending the request, then we are requesting that message from the blockchain ledger. So that's how it works. Anyone have any questions on this?
And on the, because this is hi Asif, a great presentation, man. So because you have logic apps here, you could actually connect this to, it's like a flow, and you could embed this in your front end application, right, as a trigger.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Or I mean, is this being recorded, Asif, by any chance?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's recorded, Sanjeev.
Yeah, excellent presentation. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So that's how basically whatever the transaction so what exactly you can do initially if you want to create a project. Okay. So this is not if you want to just go and play around with this. So there is a couple of options actually. So means when you create the Solidity project, so you will have option for truffle box. So what truffle box is basically is you can get a couple of projects which is for your to try with different. So if you can see here, there are a couple of projects like for asset transfer, for basic provenance. So what exactly you can do, you can just provide this as your asset transfer name, and it will create the Azure asset transfer project in your, and then you can deploy that project to your blockchain service and create a logic apps and then trigger by using database connector and can see that how the transactions are performing on the blockchain ledger. So it's really helpful to understand how Microsoft is providing to integrate with your existing apps, and that's a really big challenge in current blockchain platform. So because they are providing resolvers and a couple of blockchain platform like Hyperledger and Coda, they are providing resolver to integrate with other blockchain network and make your existing blockchain application to integrate. But by using logic apps or data manager capabilities, you can integrate with your existing application, and it also helps to improve the performance because you don't need to write the data on the blockchain network. What you can do, you can process those transactions into SQL Server or Cosmos DB, and you can perform all the read operation from the off-chain database. That's a very good use case. So if you, I have already created the blog on this. So if you, so what exactly I have done, I have given like how you can create a Azure Blockchain as a service, then how you can create a project, how you can connect with your blockchain service. So this end-to-end means how you can create the logic apps. Everything is given here, and my code is also available on GitHub. So yeah, you can try with your own. How you can test by using Postman or yeah. Anyone have any question on this? Okay. Yeah.
Does anyone have any question for our speakers? The floor is open.
I think I have actually one more Azure Blockchain Kit, but I think my time is already over. Yeah. So maybe later we can show that how using Azure Workbench we can create a simple prototype by and we can visualize means quickly. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining. Yeah.